Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the world you're in. Welcome to. I'm actually on my in my mobile command center in the middle of Texas, somewhere close to a city called Lago Vista, Texas, and I kind of told a bunch of you that I'm actually going to start trying to get away a little bit more today. Well, yesterday was my birthday, so I was like, okay, I've got to learn how to not work for a few days, and did my best to only do a half day yesterday. But we're going to go ahead and kick off the VIA Weekly. The main thing that's happening today is we're going to have a very small, interaction, stuff like that, and I'll tell you a little bit about why I want to have these kind of get-togethers, no matter what, on a continuing basis, even when I'm in the middle of the woods over here and stuff like that. Um, the Venture Outfitter is here to actually help different people build their businesses and do all the different things to take your venture to the world. So we'll tell you more about that as we get into it. But really, today is going to be much more about it, just helping the community go back and forth. Um, it sounds like there's a little bit of background noise. Jello, if you could help me manage that, that would be really great. The one thing I want to go ahead and make sure I say is, although I'm not at the office today, I want to thank DuoWorks, Linda Blackman and Jessica at DuoWorks for being one of our long-term sponsors. And this is even before the pandemic, for working with TechRanch and supporting entrepreneurs that are working around the world. A lot of times, if you need a co-working location, or if you need just an address, a point of presence, like several of our Mexican entrepreneurs have a point of presence at DuoWorks. It's a great place to have a point of presence in Austin. And so here I am. This is my official kickoff. Take the Airstream base camp into the middle of well, we're not that far away from civilization, but this is where I'm broadcasting. I've got the window behind me shut just because, yes, the Texas heat is hot. It is really hot, and the sun's coming from this way right now, which I can actually feel it. But part of the thing that actually I'm challenging myself on, and I challenge each one of y'all, some of y'all really know to take care of yourselves. Um, I was joking about being a recovering perfectionist myself. Part of what I think that we should actually have, the Venture Outfitter, the TechRanch Venture Outfitter has got all sorts of different vendors that you can work with, and uh, vendors and other programs, and there's classes to take and stuff like that. And I kind of, as we rebuilt TechRanch, given that we closed the co-working space, or actually I sold the co-working space to someone else, the because I started Austin's first co-working space. The thing that happened is we launched Venture Outfitter with all these different resources, but I realized that one of the most valuable things that I myself am learning is just having us be connected in community, and also reminding each other how to unplug and stuff like that. So part of what this is going to be for, this Airstream is going to be for, is getting out and about. Um, I've already worked out in two different places in Texas, in San Marcos and in China Springs, Texas. Where's that? It's close to Waco. There's groups of entrepreneurs that we've worked with over the years that we're going to start doing this mobile tech ranch thing. So I'm calling this the Mobile Command Center. So if you have ideas about what we should do, let me know. But thank you for being here for the inaugural day. And on the 30th, for our wider network, we have the country managers orientation. If you have a country or a region of another country that you are particularly passionate about, on the 30th, this will be really valuable. We'd like to actually have, the idea about having the network around TechRanch is just kind of like almost like an open source project, in that there are ways of taking the core activities and distributing them widely. And it's not just about the business. It's about also, it's not just about the business, but it's about like a much wider reach. Let me give you an example. One of the examples I was giving recently is there are bands, like I am really into a band called Gorgo Bordello. I've traveled to see the band. I've interacted to with the band. I've done all sorts of other stuff. I introduced one VIP to the band, and they're now friends. It's really kind of funny. I don't get paid for that, but I do it because it gives me something else, right? It gives me the way to connect in. Now, for our country managers, there are opportunities that part of the part of the connection uh, will be that, perhaps you're in a different country and you have an incubator, or you'd like to have TechRanch working with an incubator as we build a venture bridge. We'd love to actually have that. So there can be, quote unquote pay for, because we're going to go after grants together and things like that to extend this work around the world. The biggest issue is that because entrepreneurship is different in all these different places in the world, instead of having my vision is not to build a bunch of tech ranches in a lot of places, but to create a lot of connectivity. And so, in building a bridge, you want to have a firm base on one side and firm base on another side. Tech Ranch, obviously, with a firm base in Austin, and then connected with other places. As an example, there's a gentleman that happens to be a professor at the University of Texas. That he's a business school professor. He originally comes from Armenia, and he has said, "Hey, Kevin, will you actually present to our Armenian schools?" And I've now given speeches to the American School in Armenia, which is a business school, a couple different times. Happy to do that, and and then we're going to go after grants together and things like that, stepping into the future. That's part of the way that this gentleman, manages that as the country manager, but in the same kind of way, it's a great way to actually just extend the network. And as well, because anytime a business network is happening, there is definitely an opportunity for further opportunities for business and stuff like that to take advantage of. So it's they can be self-serving. That's we'd happily have you sign up as a country manager. One of the places to go to if you would like to sign up to be invited to the special program in the details is to go to techranch.com/connect, and on there is a form that will collect that information. We've already sent out one set of requests to everyone saying we're going to do this orientation. We'll do it during this time to take advantage of the times for, especially for the Americas and Europe and Africa. But and then for some of our friends, like yesterday, I got messages from Japan and from Singapore and from Australia. We'll set up another one at that time, but if you can, join us for the time during this time slot. So today, come to the community conversation. One of my favorite things to do is to have these conversations where we talk about the community. And I want to step back and say why, because I think that there's a deeper theory at play for me that I get to take advantage of, that I realize that others don't necessarily know about. Dr. Gabor Mate, who talks a lot about trauma. For those of y'all that don't know, I spend a lot of time on mental health startups and things like that. Dr. Gabor Mate actually talks about this concept that safety is not the absence of danger, and safety from a psychological standpoint is the presence of connection. A lot of times entrepreneurs that are having so much stress, that are really up against some of the, you guys are choosing some of the hardest jobs that there are by being entrepreneurs. What I want to do is I want to start having more connection among us to actually help drive this support network, because it's a lonely job at times, because you can't necessarily turn to employees or customers and talk about it. But you can't turn to other entrepreneurs. In fact, I had this experience once where, one of my friends, and he's a really good friend. I met him when I worked at IBM. He's very supportive. He always has been. We've known each other for 25 years. But the truth is, he's still at IBM, and here I've now, like, I don't know, on like 8 different companies that I've started. And there are certain things that I can tell him about, like, I tell him about my relationships, my family. Yeah, I find out about his family, about other stuff. We talk about technology because he's a brilliant processor designer. But then there's other things that is, even as much as I love him, that doesn't that just don't compute because he's never had to figure out on a Thursday night how to pay people on a Friday, right? He's just never had that stress. And that's a very unique stress. Um, that a lot of times people that work in long-term jobs don't have. So be thinking about that. We'll take a little bit more on that theme and spend more time on it and promote it beforehand so that you actually have a little bit more time to join in and stuff like that. Today, though, because we didn't really promote this a whole lot, I expect that our country managers things, I'm expecting a lot of different people to be involved in, but because we didn't really promote today very much, we're going to hear from a couple of our interns. We'll hear from a couple of our long-term entrepreneurs. We might even wrap up kind of quick so I don't burn all of my bandwidth here in the middle of nowhere, Texas. But just we'll kind of just hop right in. So Kim Johnson runs a number of different companies. He's one of our long-term technology entrepreneurs that stands between Austin and Spokane, Washington. He, right before we came onto the air, was telling a little bit about his ventures. So I'm going to actually ask him to come off the mute first. And he was mentioning that there's a program concerning opioid addiction that he wanted to say some things about to get the word out. Kim, take it from there.
So amazingly unplanned, but it does bridge off your idea of community. Sorry for the background. I wasn't planning to be on air. So yes, and so two things is that we're expanding our program that supports hospitals and people deal with babies born to mothers suffering from substance use disorders, a thing called neonatal abstinence. And the second aspect of that is so we're expanding that program. We're in the full marketing stage. It's a low-cost way that's been sponsored by the National Institute on Drug Abuse to provide online training, and we also have tools that can help. My comment is that a baby is the most expensive thing you can ever acquire without a owner's manual. Okay, so imagine having an infant, and now you have your own issues where you're trying to manage your own health, and now you have a baby that is suffering from symptoms of withdrawal. Because of there's been substance uses that have permeated the womb, and the baby has been affected by that during pregnancy. That's a really cranky baby. So we have some tools that we're going to try to export to help moms deal with those types of infants. And so there's our path of how can we help this community better includes dealing with issues of stigma. We're finding we deal with a lot of warm and loving nurses, and the feedback we get from them is unfortunately that there's warm and loving neonatal practitioners, but some of there's a lot of people that stigmatize women who are pregnant without resources, much less women who are pregnant who have substance use disorders, which is very problematic. And then thirdly, we want to try to provide technology connections and tools, what we call contingency management, that after they get discharged, there are ways to connect them to other providers and support them and give them incentives to meet the treatment plans that they had for themselves and well baby care for their infant. And so we've been working a lot on the technology, and I'll bridge this into community two ways. One is the technology, relatively speaking, is easy. What's a challenge and what's supported by most of the research is, how do you support these persons who are making tremendous efforts to get on the right path. How do you support them with community? And so, a continuing effort to try to figure out how to create community for these people along with the technology is one of the issues. And then, exposure of this issue going forward, we've come in contact with a documentary producer that is going to, it'll be on ABC next year, and have a brief theatrical release at the end of the year, but it's called Attention Must Be Paid, Women Lost in the Opioid Crisis. So here again, trying to make sense of the rambling is that, Kevin talked about community. We're finding that there's a community of people that need a lot of support. We actually then, we're trying to solve it with technology, but we also found somebody who has a brilliant documentary that can explain the issues and focus the needs of these people. And it's Attention Must Be Paid, Women Lost in the Opioid Crisis. And it chronicles not only specific life stories, and these are people, one of the vignettes that they have, my family grew up in central Illinois, in the farm country of central Illinois. One of the people that was affected by opioid use could have been my aunt in a prior day, it could have been my mother, okay? Not that this condition affects a lot of people that many would not suspect that they were susceptible of. And this woman, after 25 years, had to quit her job because she was given so many opioids that she just couldn't stay a week on the drive to her job. This documentary provides background on people like that. And then there's, in the area that we deal with, mothers that have been pregnant. There's a tragic story of somebody who didn't follow basic guidelines that are published by the National Institute on Drug Abuse and SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Association. And a woman gave birth and was basically thrown out because they thought that she had everything, not given the appropriate support, and she overdosed a day after she got home. So there are basic things that are included in this: knowledge from the director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, knowledge from counselors who had previously had substance use disorder issues themselves from the Hazelden Institute, counselors from, that deal with this every day, that really puts a showcase on the needs, the deficiencies in our medical system that have led to the overprescribing of opioids in women, and also really calls out for the need to, how do you really create community so people have somebody to rely on when the system fails them. So, our path is to help solve the technology, and we're always interested in working with people that can use technology to support the development of community, particularly among women that are affected by substance use disorders, or pregnant or perinatal women that are affected by substance use disorders. And this documentary, it really crystallizes the things that you see on, let's just say, the snippets that you see about describing the issues of, opioid disorder are really not supported by the facts. The facts are known, the research is known. We just need to get that. Part of it is we just need to get it understood and disseminated. So anyway, that's the brief overview. And then, like I say, if anybody wants to understand our technology that we're trying to apply in terms of supporting people, or if anybody has ideas on ways to, link technology with real community, we'd be interested to build on that as we go into our, connecting with other hospitals. We have several hospitals here in the Pacific Northwest, and we want to connect to other hospitals or substance use treatment facilities, or as we try to develop, apply our technology to new grants. September 5th is the deadline, so we'll be applying for some new grants in September 5th.
That sounds great. That's quite a mouthful, but the thing, I think the thing that's interesting, that you're getting to tear into is, this whole opioid epidemic, the two reflection things that I'd like to just throw out there, just to kind of put some light on what Kim is talking about. There was a study where they put a mouse in a cage with, water, and then water that had cocaine in it, right? And everyone's heard that the mouse started drinking the water with the cocaine in it until the point that it died. It and everyone's like saying, "Oh, wait, cocaine is so addictive that blah 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 blah," dot 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 dot, that this is always going to happen. A different researcher did a different project where the researcher designed a mouse community that actually had lots of different mice in it, and ended up the mice could interact with each other. They actually had wheels. They had all sorts of other things they could do inside of the community. They still had those two spigots of water, right? Water and cocaine. Water and cocaine never got hit because the mouse had interaction. One of the things when I reflect on what I get to see in the world, I obviously get to see a lot of different communities around the world. And, I live in the United States, but I think that in the United States, one of the reasons these epidemics are so bad is we forgot how to be in community. Like one of the biggest things that I just adore about Mexico versus the United States is they still know how to do community. And you got to ask yourself, why is that? What happened? I think that the marketplace has been so powerful in the United States. And I believe in, having the market, being involved in the market. I'm an entrepreneur, right? Of course. I think that the market was so powerful in the US that we think as Americans that everything we do, we turn and go to the market to solve all the problems. Whereas in Mexico, as an example, there's been several times that, I'll go to the Zócalos, the town squares of Mexico, and you'll see that people are still connecting around the town square, not just buying and selling things, but being in a community with each other. A good example is that, like in the United States, it's just expected that you're going to pay for childcare, whereas in Mexico, it's just expected that the whole family, the aunts, uncles, grandma, grandpa, they're all going to be involved in taking care of the children. So as we as entrepreneurs reflect on what Kim's telling us about, part of our job to get the word out. And so Kim, make sure that you share those URLs with us as they come available, as well as about your company. And Jello will put them onto the show notes for today's show. But then part of it is we'll get that onto our social media as well. But then even further than that, the main thing I want to keep on reminding to our community, even though I'm this big technologist, right? I'm visionary technologist and all that stuff. One of the things that I'm being reminded of is I look at the data concerning what Kim's saying, what Dr. Gabor Mate is saying, what Dr. Van der Kolk, who I talked about last week during this program, is saying, is that creating connection, that's partially there. So I'm just going to keep on railing on that. Kim, anything else that we should know about how someone can get involved in supporting your venture?
They can go to the website and reach out, and thankfully to LinkedIn, I already got to reach out from somebody who's experienced in the areas. So it's very positive. We created one connection here today. We've had success with, I'm thankful for some of the other people that are not in the group today. We have resources here with AI and ML and trying to apply those types of things. We've been talking to David Nichols, Carlos Bernal. We're very thankful of some of the connections and ideas we've heard from other people in the Tech Grants group. So just check in and keep the connections going.
That sounds great. Like look forward to making that happen and stuff like that. Go ahead and Kim, go ahead and tell us again though. You mentioned that they can reach out, but for someone that just sees the video, what's your URL, if you could?
Yeah, so it's managedhealthconnections.com.
Managedhealthconnections.com.
Yeah. and we have a couple of different projects. But that's the umbrella.
That sounds great.
I put it,
We'll,
in the chat for Jello.
Yeah, just put it in the chat. Well, what we'll do is we'll publish that out as well. Hey, Jello, since we have a handful of people also showing up on the LinkedIn, one of the other things that I think we can do automatically is to continue to just publish to LinkedIn. Let me show you guys this really quick, because let's see, I'm not used to not having at least two screens. So if I take a little bit longer. Right now, we are streaming out to LinkedIn. You can see the conversations going on right there. Notice that there is some chat that's happening back and forth. For today, like I said, I didn't expect that we'd see a lot of different things here, but you can actually post back and forth, into this area and stuff like that. And Jello, I guess, just posted this as me. We can also have others posting in here. If you don't have a LinkedIn, make sure you connect with me. That's one of the other ways of taking advantage of the network, and then some of the interactions that happen here. And Jello, if you will, go ahead and post those different chats, stuff like that right here. That'd be great. The other thing, while we're on LinkedIn, I'm going to switch over. One of the friends of the family, a gentleman by the name of Scott Collier, is a venture capitalist that is looking for a principal business development and investment analyst. So I just want to do a real quick shout out. I'm a big fan of Scott and his wife, Chelsea, and they really do, as a duo, are working really hard to actually to leverage the tools of venture capital and other tools like that to get things. So they're Austin-based team. It's the part of this group is the corporate venture capital around there, but look for this article here, Principal Business Development and Investment Analysis. I'll make sure that right after I share this, that I share that post into the area there as well. And part of it is that, there's no TechRanch doesn't get a toaster if I post that, but part of the thing that I actually think would be good is in a community for us to get more exposure to the groups of people that are actually making waves and changing things. All right, well, I'm going to put a couple other people on the spot and introduce you to a couple of our interns that are here today. Since one of them has been with us for a total of 4 days, the other one like for 2 days. So we'll put our veteran on first and get him to tell us a little bit about who he is and what he's up to and stuff like that. And everyone always says, you got to be careful. Don't scare people. I think a little bit of don't be nervous, Matthew. I'm just like I think it's just like great to actually have you here, and I'm excited to have your input and all the different interns. But Matthew, tell us who you are, what you're working on, and what would be valuable from the network for you, or from the community for you.
Hi, yeah. So I'm Matthew. I just graduated high school, and I will be attending UT in the fall. I'm focused on international relations. That's my intended major at UT, and I'm with TechRanch as a 4-day veteran. I'm really looking at both kind of forging connections with the State Department to kind of help with companies that are abroad or basically just not in the US get grants or really any sort of aid and help from Texas and from that area. And I'm also looking at organizing and like I'm sort of planning the VO Weekly for June 30th. So those are kind of my two focuses right now. Going forward, I think the most help I can really get is guidance and sort of connections with people that would be able to enable me to help make these connections for people in South America, Europe, wherever that aid could really be helpful in.
That sounds great. Yeah, thank you for being here. So part of our intern program, and we're going to extend this to the more general TechRanch network, is to take young talent like Matthew. A lot of people don't realize I'm the product of a really cool intern program. I got really lucky in that I actually had 7 different internships while I went through college. While I went through from high school through college, places like IBM, Motorola, in fact, Motorola, APRDL. But then probably the one that had even the most impact on us was, or on me was, at a company called Next. And, that was the Steve Jobs company. And, some of the other executives that brought me in as a 18 something year old, are, you will know in Austin, Texas. But make a long story short, part of what we'll do is, both now and in the quarters in the future, is it's always amazing about what young talent, you know, young women and men, in this case, like Matthew, when you don't know how the world works, and I'm not saying he doesn't know how the world works, but when you're 18 years old and you haven't really, you're actually a force of nature that's really interesting, right? Michael Dell, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, really had like those kind of impacts because they wanted to see the world change, and they did. They made it. So we're real excited about having Matthew and Maria and a couple others, joining us and stuff like that. Matthew, is there anything particular you'd like to see, like any particular country or any particular issue that in your work with Tech Ranch that you're wanting to tear into?
Yeah, so I've been on a few meetings with countries such as Finland and then also with Lloyd Doggett's office. And I think the countries specifically that I'm looking forward to looking into is Mexico. I'm nearing fluency in Spanish, so I think that connection and kind of that cultural connection that I have already through the studies would be really interesting to continue to look through. And probably in Europe as well, like in the Finnish areas, in that sort of area, or even just Western Europe, where in countries such as Hungary or the Czech Republic, where I know there are connections as well.
Yeah, no, it's certainly. And when you and I, and actually a lot of the team, some of the largest numbers of entrepreneurs that we've worked with outside of the United States are in Mexico. I've personally spoken in 27 different cities in Mexico, and so it is very, 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 very clear that we'll be doing some stuff there, and I'm excited about that. And right now we have programs in Central America as well, not just Mexico, but other parts of Costa Rica, El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. And so, qué perfecto. Tenemos una oportunidad para practicar nuestro español y para crear proyectos juntos. So I'm looking forward to working with you about that. And thank you for your work. Thank you for the impact. Maria, tell us, so you're now a 2 or 3 day veteran. I'm excited
Sorry,
that you're
my
here and
internet
stuff like that.
going in and out.
Can you hear us? Hey, Maria, if you can, tell us all about yourself real quick. Oh, I can't see if Jello, can you hear her? I think she might be still on mute.
There
There you
hi.
go.
The internet keeps going in and out, so if I cut off, that's what happened.
No worries, no worries. Thank you for being here today. Tell us a little bit about yourself, like, and what type of projects you're planning on tearing into at the Tech Ranch.
Well, my name is Maria. I'm, I guess, the newbie intern. I've only been here for 2 days. But I'm what I'm gonna be working on for my first project is on mental health, and basically I'm gonna be looking at different resources that are available for mental health around, I guess, around the world, and I guess categorizing them and making them more easily available. And then that's the first step. And then I'm going to be, I guess, communicating with these resources and these people and seeing different ways we can like help them out and stuff like that.
That's
But
perfect. Yeah. The a lot of what we're going to have her do is Maria mentioned in the intake interview a couple weeks ago about her desire to really have an impact through psychology and mental health. And for those of y'all that might remember, back in March, we ran Tech Ranch in conjunction with the Meadows Institute, ran a program that was run concurrently with South by Southwest, as well as alongside with UT and the Texas Global Health Security Initiative. Most of the Texas Global Health Security Initiative was focused around, dealing with the virus and dealing with viral therapeutics and things like that. And part of what we're switching over to is I started the mental health special interest group inside of that group, inside of the Texas Global Health Security Initiative. Some really amazing work happened, and now to take that forward, even to just get some exposure, I'm really excited because Maria's going to be able to get some exposure to the work that's already had, just because there's so much content there that we now want to expose that out. So I'm excited about that. And then, like we were hearing from Kim Johnson earlier today, there will be there's a natural correspondence. Obviously opioid epidemic is part of addiction, which is part of the mental health issues, and so we'll continue to get exposure on ventures like that as well. So thank you, Maria. Anything particular you'd like to request of the community now or in the future? And you guys don't have to be reasonable. In fact, can you all still hear me?
Yep.
Uh-oh, I think I just got hung. What I was just saying is, and I tell you what, Kim and Janet and Matthew, if something happens to my connection, you guys are on. What I was saying is, we'll be doing some exposure into the, we'll make sure that we get more exposure for those mental health startups and stuff like that. Janet, our resident artist, what's and professor at ACC and many other things, what's happening in your world? It's good to see you. I hadn't seen you in a little bit of time.
Yeah, I've been busy with my stepmom. I'm moving her to a new assisted living place, which is much better. So, that's taken up some time and energy. And actually, I'm retired from full-time teaching, so I'm enjoying having a lot more freedom in my schedule, and been doing a little book design and a little bit of art, and just, being a little more relaxed than usual. So
that's great.
Yeah. And I've been going to the regulars on Friday mornings at Mozart's. I've missed a few because I've been busy, but or out of town. I went to the Colonel Folk Festival last weekend, and gosh, I've been going there for years. I absolutely love that. Talk about a great community, right?
I need to get back out there. It's been years since I've gotten to go. And one thing that I'd love to put a stake in the ground about. So just like you're managing issues around your mom, I'm managing a lot of issues around my father, concerning, getting health, Texas Health and Human Services, fighting with them to get the services that my dad actually needs and things like that. At some point, I would love to have a conversation, especially many of us that are in the network or in the community actually have parents that are that age.
Yeah.
We're having to deal with some of the different issues around that, and that there has not been a bigger distraction, or not. I guess it's not a distraction. That's the wrong language, but it's extremely stressful given like compared to some of the solutions that we see in other parts of the world and stuff like that. I'm wondering if you're open to it at some point. I'd love to have you, me, and a handful of other people who are actually working through that talk about, strategies for supporting our parents as they're going through those type of issues.
I've got a lot of resources that I've been building up over the last few years that I've been dealing with this, and happy to share what I know and the people I know who've been helping me sort through this, because I've learned a lot of this the hard way. How to deal with an elderly person, getting them what they need and understanding what maybe they might be going through. Like she's got dementia now, just the beginning stage of it. And I'm like, okay, that's explaining some of her behavior. Got it. And fortunately, her physician at the assisted living place has, he's on top of it too. And so we compare notes, and he's put her on something that's supposed to help with it. We'll see how much it can help. But yeah, boy, I'm telling you, when you have either children or elderly parents, you need a support group.
Yeah, I know that's one thing that I never imagined how much the impact, and in my case, it's been my mother, my father, my aunt, and my uncle. My aunt passed away in January 2021, and I was was my aunt and uncle's power of attorney and medical power of attorney for 20 years. And those last few months were hard. And then taking over things for my uncle after my aunt died, because my aunt had been managing most of their stuff. Yeah, that was hard. So would you consider leading a conversation around that in the VO Weekly in the coming weeks?
Yeah, let me get through this move, and
Yep.
so maybe sometime in July or August, and I can make some notes about all the people that I would share with you guys, and yeah, open it up for sharing conversations and questions, because I didn't really have anyone to talk to. So I was kind of reaching out to different agencies in town. And then I found out that a friend of mine has been involved in elder care services for quite some time. Bruce Kravitz. Wow, he's an amazing resource. And and I'm meeting more people now that are good to talk to about questions and concerns.
See if it would be even great if you think that he'd come on and be like part of a panel for us to talk to. That'd be
Sure.
great. Because yeah, I think it's in the context of what the venture outfit is supposed to represent for the Tech Ranch community. It's been surprising a lot of times, especially for me as a veteran entrepreneur. I know revenue minus cost equals profit. I know how to go into a market. I know how to do a market survey. I don't know how to deal with some of the stuff that I've had to learn how to deal with on the fly. So it'd be interesting to have that. I'm gonna request that if Jello hasn't already reached out to you, I'm gonna request that he grabs your contact information, and that if you will throw out a working title just right now, just make something up so we actually have on the tracker system that we have, that would be great. And you could even saying strategies for managing your parents or something like that.
Well, just elder care strategies.
Elder care strategies for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Now, I think that it's a uniquely US situation compared to some other stuff. Like I was saying, like in Mexico and other places, there's a different set of expectations. So it also would be interesting to have someone on the other side of the border that as well, just to give like kind of perspective if we think about it. But it'd be great having Janet, you, Bruce, and a few other people, like I said, or even there's the two of y'all, just because I wasn't ready, and I'm still not ready for some of the things. So
I hear you. I completely hear you. And I just put my email and phone in the chat for everybody.
And Jello will take the action to make sure that y'all get that started. So
yeah. Like I said, I've learned some things the hard way. And so you can't be too careful in terms of looking out for whoever it is you're looking after, because the assisted living places, etc., are as good as they might be. things happen that fall through the cracks. My stepmom was charged $5,000 for something they didn't deliver last year, and they don't give a damn.
Yep.
That's why I'm moving her. And I'm like, wow, this, of course, I've written to the company to complain. Who knows if they're going to care, but wow, I'm getting out of here like that after finding this out.
Yeah, no, same thing for me. My dad was the victim of a fraudulent transaction on the order of $10,000. Actually, $9,000 in one case and $1,000 in another case. And so
Oh,
I've now had to turn everything around, that, had to turn it all off so that they can't take advantage of them, from the standpoint of
yeah.
everything, things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So, yep, I know exactly what you're pointing to. So, well, thank you, Janet, for that. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering, back to the studio audience, I see a couple of long-term entrepreneurs. I don't know if there's anything else that anyone wanted to pipe in, since this is a community conversation. We're coming to the end of the time that we're going to spend together, but just wondering if anyone had anything they wanted to throw out before I close it up. I'll give you I'll give you like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, well, I tell you what we're going to do is, I like having these kind of these conversations. I'm probably more attached than anyone else about those kind of conversations where we, kind of have a different sense of what's going on. I just want to remind everyone the whole idea that, join our email list, join our community, join the country managers application is on here as well. Reminder again, on the 30th of June, we're going to have a country managers orientation. We'd love to have as many of you around the world on that. And the only requirement is that you have an earnest, strong interest in connecting the network and the community to the world. You really don't have, it's not a particular set of skills we're looking for. It's more of just a personal ethic that about that. So take advantage of that. And what we'll do.
Kevin, I think your whole screen is shared.
Oh, my what?
Your
Your
entire
whole
screen. can be
entire
seen.
screen shared.
Oh yeah, cool. It's funny. I hate let me see if I can fix that really quick. Zoom, if anyone from Zoom is here, it really would be great if they would not change the screen between up. That's interesting. Keynote. So the presenter display is no longer working. Okay, well, maybe that time
There you
it'll
go.
do that. All right, thank you all for that. Yeah, catch me a little bit faster and I'll make sure I solve it, especially when I'm on one screen. At some point in the future, I'll actually set it up and have 2 screens here in the mobile command center. And thanks to Kim for suggesting. I think it would be great to go down to the valley and go hang out with Carlos Bernal, find out what's happening with him as well. Thank you for that suggestion. Carlos and Nancy, we just got really great news about that. We just got really great news about that. Carlos and Nancy are actually, who are originally from Chihuahua, Mexico. Their product is now going to be, it's expanding the footprints of going into testing in all of the toilets, in all of the hospitals in Italy. It's going to take a little bit of time to get to all of them, but they've had some interesting stuff. And imagine testing happening all the time, anytime you go to the bathroom. The other thing that happens is Crystal Victoria from Target Evolution has just announced that Macy's is engaging her in a 12-site, like 12 Macy's are going to have Target Evolution. What's Target Evolution do? And by the way, Jello, make sure we need to get Crystal to come talk to us. Crystal works with at-risk youth and teaching them the tools of entrepreneurship. She's been doing an awesome job. She's one of the special entrepreneurs, or the inspiring entrepreneurs from that was funded by our nonprofit as well. And so we'll hear a little bit more about her in the future too. All right, well, back to that. Let's see if I can actually push the right buttons this time again. Always a pleasure and an honor to be hanging out and working with entrepreneurs that are driven by vision and values. Let's go change the world for the better together. And with that, signing off for somewhere a little bit west of Texas, west of Austin, in the Mobile Command Center. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care.
Take care, Kevin. RD Childers standby.
Thank you. Mhm.